Namaste, beautiful yogis. This is a very quick video with something I've been wanting to share with you. I'm reading this book. It's a Bulgarian spiritual book with something that really deeply resonates with me in one of the lectures. So I'll translate it quickly with you. It's an interesting... those are interesting spiritual concepts, and if they don't resonate with you, that's fine. Let me know if you want more of these videos, things that touch me, if you want me to share them either on YouTube or here in the membership area, and I'll share them. I don't want to put too many of those within the yoga classes because the classes are essentially dynamic, so I'd like to separate those videos away from the classes. So this talk goes saying there is a world that is unseen. You cannot see that world. You have to open your eyes, meaning spiritual eyes, in order to see that world. That's the real world, and you're a shadow of this world. You're the shadows, and you have to believe that there is the real world from which you originated. There is an internal light within the human, and that is the divine essence, the divine beginning in the human. That the internal light inside of you, the light that you shine, or it's deep within you, that is your divine beginning, your divine essence, which nowadays is waiting for its awakening, because we have all been kind of disconnected from our essence. The human being is nothing more than its mind, its heart, and its will, his or her mind, heart, and will. But the human spirit is grand. So the human mind, heart, and will, they're the servants of the spirit, which is your grandness. If you love, this is very profound for me, if you love men, and if you believe in men, you will tap into, basically I will tell you how I understand it. You will tap into the whenever you're able to tap into what is divine about another human being, basically you communicate directly to their soul. Your soul communicates to their soul. You tap into their divine essence, because everybody, even people that have lost their path and they're shallow or just lost, they have divine essence. But many humans, many people I come across are so beautiful, and when you tap into the divinity which they are, you express your own divinity by understanding another human being's divinity. When you shift your perspective, you start to attract people that are completely divine, and even if everybody is a flawed human being, they will express their divinity towards you because you're connecting on that level. So I went a little bit, I disconnected a little bit from the translation, but that has been my realization. And also when I was maybe 18 or 19, I had this realization about my divine essence. When you understand that we are all interconnected, we are all part of this cosmos, of this universe, and we are all one. We are all a particle, cells of the cosmic one essence. You understand how insignificant you are, which frees you from your ego, but also you realize how important and grand you are, because you are part of it's the dichotomy of you being insignificant and exceptionally grand, and the most important thing to the universe is any other part of the universe. And you also understand that that applies to an ant and to everything else. So there is no damage, or you're not hurting your ego by understanding your insignificance and your grandness at the same time. It's very liberating. And it's when I realized personally how worthy of love I am, because to deny your own worthiness is to deny the divine worth, because you are the divine. You're essentially a part of the divine. So for you to not understand your grandness or your your profoundness. For you to deny love or your profoundness seems for you to essentially deny the divine. You cannot deny the divine. And you know, you can call the divine anything. Some people can call it put it in religious perspectives. I've never been exposed to religion. I have found my own way, and that is my own thing. Anything that authority would tell me, I will examine it, go first the other way, and find things for myself, basically, so that I know that I'm experiencing the world through my own inner truths. So, going back to when you start seeing the divine in others, you will understand what a granting the human being is. You say the human is a being that is thinking, but the human is way more than that. The human is not contained in his thoughts, in his feelings, or in his actions. The human is the divine. That's beautiful. The human hides within himself the possibilities for conscious life. Whatever, and this is profound, whatever you have lost, you will find it. Whatever you have lost, you will find it. Whenever you understand that God has put within yourself treasures. This is not in any way related to any religion book. His teachings were not religious teachings, so whenever we're talking about the divine and God, it's an infinite concept. So don't get thrown off. If you're religious, or if you're atheist or agnostic, it doesn't matter. Those concepts to me are so universal because they're experiential. They're just universal. They're within your gut. They're in your gut. So the human has all the capacities within himself to be a poet, an artist, a scientist, etc. The evil in the human is on the surface. It's just external. The divine in the human is unbeatable, unbreakable. No matter what challenges you go through, at the end you will return to your original state, and the original state is the divine. It's basically, he compares it to a gemstone that was wrapped in gift paper and then put in a box, and you have to get to the gemstone, you have to unwrap and unbox and so forth to get to your absolute core value, which is your origin. Believe in the divine in yourself. The only real thing in the human is the divine. Your only realness is your divinity. It's eternal. Whomever wants to develop his capacities and possibilities has to understand and accept his divine essence as a given. That way you can grow and develop your gifts and talents. And this is, again, going back to believe in the divine in all people. You can build your future upon this virtue. A person can grow deeply, profoundly when he or she understands his own divinity and that of all the people around. It's beautiful to see the divine in other people. It's beautiful to see them elevated. Whenever you understand whenever you begin to see the divine in other human beings, that's when you're going to have correct relationships. That's when your relationships will be beautiful. And that is it's just a little chapter, nothing big but very profound, because it was my realization as a young teenager when I realized my own divine core. It was a shift, complete shift in how I relate to life. So I wanted to share this with you. It's a little bit kind of it's a spiritual talk for sure. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about this. Keep maybe make it a discussion. Give me your input about your realizations or your struggle with understanding your divine essence and worth, and as a part of this whole thing. Because the main thing from this lecture is whenever your ego, you become one, you separate yourself from the whole. Once you separate yourself from the whole, you become isolated, alone, lonely, miserable, because the ego is never going to give you any type of satisfaction. And you are separated essentially from God or from the divine or from what is the essence and the truth in you, because the truth is interconnected with the all, and you're never isolated, and you're never abandoned or anything like that. So whenever you become to feel your isolatedness, you experience yourself as the ego, not as your essence. That's where suffering begins, and that's where separation from truth happens. Anyways, I don't want to make this very long, so I will leave you with that. Post in the comments below if you want more of those, if you want them shorter, if you want them a little longer, how it's easier for you to assimilate. And if you even benefit from sharing like this, for me it's been a beautiful way to read those lectures at night. Anyways, namaste.
And what is the purpose? What is the purpose? And would you believe it? Would you believe it?
To just wrap up something within what I mentioned with this talk is that that is the beginning of creating profound relationships with love relationships, or even relationships with friends. When you connect on that level, you begin to build different type of relationships, because my belief is that you can spiritually evolve through your love relationships. So when you start to create this type of relationship that are built on divine essences communicating between each other, which is the same one, you begin to build beautiful relationships that are serving your spiritual growth. Basically, it's giving you the opportunities to actually evolve spiritually, evolve past this level of consciousness into the next level of consciousness. So it's almost like a tantric concept. It can be translated into love, sexual relationships with your partner. It can be translated, obviously, in you can connect with people in friendships, but it's even more powerful when you understand this and you connect with your actual partner on that level, because obviously you are connecting on a deep, profound soul level, and that is obviously rare. Most people have karmic relationships where they just keep hurting each other, paying back and forth, and getting hurt and healing from the trauma. It becomes this circle of ego pain. And there is a way, obviously, to step out of that cycle and get into a cycle of evolution, evolving. All right, so I stopped in the wrong place. I'll get home now, and I'll leave you with this.